Hello and welcome. The following video, What's New in Accounts Payable Automation, was recorded in March 2016. The presenter is Marty Michael, President and CEO of Mariah Systems.
When we talk about Active Pay, there are many customers on the web today that I saw that are already existing Active Managed Pay customers. I will say that for just to bring everybody on the same page, Active Pay is the rebranded application release, version 6 that we released 18 months ago. That is the next version of Managed Pay, which many of our customers today are using Managed Pay 5 or perhaps even 4.0 version. And Active Pay is the new name, but essentially it's using all of the same platform. If you are a Managed Pay user, you're going to find that the upgrade to Active Pay is rather straightforward and simple, and it's going to offer you tremendous more functionality than you might have had in the past. So what's new here? We're going to focus on four different areas here to talk about what's new. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually switch over to the application itself and get us out of the PowerPoint. So when I switch over to the application today, the first things you're going to see in what's new is when you sign into the system, you're going to get an icon selection screen that allows you to select which application module you're going to go into. If you're using travel and expense or Active Pay or Ledger today in 3 modules, you might have found that the functionality is somewhat intermixed. And we found that the best option today is for us to offer that as a central application. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Active Pay and come into it. You'll see new screen designs, new colors and styles, and these are all theme-driven. So if your organization wants to use black theme or white, or you want to use orange colors or something else, that's all theme-driven, and that's something that's changeable in the system. I'm going to talk about the image management today, and the fact that image management is quite enhanced in the new system. So what I did was I already have an invoice here that I brought open. If some of you are familiar with the Active Pay screen, this will look somewhat familiar with you, but I'll describe it for you. One of the things you'll see is we have, a little bit bigger text and image icons in the screen. From this, you still have capabilities for routing and management, adding attachments and that. What I want to talk about, though, is the right side of the screen here today. In terms of image enhancements, when you look at the right side of the screen, these are some of the new things that are available with IBM's Content Navigator platform that give us great flexibility in terms of how we manage content and images within the system. So this is an actual HTML5 viewer on the right. That's important because many of you are using Java-based viewers that are going through security challenges every 30 days to some degree, and we still offer the Java as an option as long as it's available, but this is an HTML5 viewer. You will see that not only do I have my invoice view here, but I also have attachments that are available in tabbed view. So here's an example that we put together, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how this works. So you have more flexibility in terms of annotations, both on TIFF images or PDF images today. You have the ability to add stamps, such as draft. Some of those capabilities were always there, and we can configure these. You also have the ability to do permanent redaction today. If you wanted to do permanent redaction, you can just click on the icons down here and go into permanent redaction. So if you had invoices that you wanted someone in the process not to be able to see certain information, you can manage that today directly through the interface, save that redaction, and now it's a permanent redaction. We also can do security level, redactions that are not permanent, that just blocks it, but the core image still stays there. You also have the ability today, to do a lot of the image stuff that you had before in the system. But if you're not familiar with our interface, you may not know all that. You have the ability to zoom in and zoom out across the image. Now, what is really different here, this is actually a good example because we're using an invoice for Brilliant Repair Shop here, which is a car repair. So one of the things that we did in this particular case, depending on your business, we added some attachments to this. So here, for example, let's assume that this Brilliant car repair is for an auto body repair at Busy Car Repair. Here's a police report that goes along with the accident that occurred in the system. Here is an image of the actual accident itself. So if you are paying this bill and you wanted to maybe manage compliance and be able to keep track of this and you had to pay this invoice, you might ask for all this supporting document from the vendor before you're going to pay it. You now have the ability to put all that information right together within the system. We also handle, here's an example of the actual repair invoice estimate, but this also allows you to see some of the other functions here. This is a multi-page PDF image, and I can actually page through it and look at it. I can actually change views to see different views and capabilities here. So remember that, although we're managing invoices, in the world of compliance today and making sure that everything is managed, it's really important that you're able to keep all of your supporting documents together and manage those. So the big improvements in the PA IBM ECM platform that we've now ported into ActivePay are all around being able to manage these images and the multiple attachments. I'm just clicking on each tab here as I go through it. As these things get submitted, they're all subject to the audit trail that you're going to have inside the system that'll when it comes up here, that'll allow you to see the actual audit trail for the invoice itself to be able to see who's touched it, where they've touched it, who's had the different attachments with it. And then remember, all these things can be edited in the system as you move forward, and you can add annotations to any of these images. So we're pretty happy with what we're seeing in terms of ActivePay and the ability to manage the different image capabilities and the different document content functions around the system. So, if you've got questions on that, you want to see capabilities, we'd be glad to demo it separately. And as I did say, I want to emphasize this is an HTML5 viewer, which offers a lot of advantages, especially if you're trying to use the system on a tablet environment where Java is not supported. You now have the capability to do that as well. All right, what I want to do next in terms of this is staying on target. I want to take a second here, and I'm going to log off of this user, and I'm going to log back in as a demo approver, and I want to touch on the mobile capabilities. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to connect my phone to the system, and when I do that, you should be able to see the screen on the system, and I'm going to click around here. Let me just move these screens around a little bit so you can see it. What we've got capability of right now is the ability to be able to review the invoices that, all right, so what we're able to do is if I have any items for approval in the system, and here you'll see as demo controller I come in right now, and I'm going to mirror this on the system here now so that we can see exactly what this looks like. What this is the mobile approval application that you're looking at right now. And when I log into the system as an ActivePay, I'm going to have invoices that are in there for approval. So right now I've got 2 in there for approval. And if you look at my mobile application, you'll see that I have exactly the same 2 invoices in there. I'm going to select one of them on my mobile system, and generally you wouldn't be logged into both here at the same time, but you'll see that when I select the invoice here, I've got the header information, and let me go up so you can see the whole screen. Okay, so down at the bottom you've got icons to be able to switch between the different parts of this. So here on the top I've got the header. This is Brilliant Repair Shop for $554.68. I can see line item details by clicking on the lines button, and it switches over to the lines. You'll see I've got 2 in there for car repairs and parts. And I switch over, I can actually be able to see the actual invoice image, and I'd have the capabilities to zoom around on that as well to be able to see the different information on the invoice. If this is an invoice that I want to approve, I have the ability to select the approval button, which is going to take it out of my inbox and push it through. I also have the ability to change routing if I want to send this to, let's say this is an invoice that I want my manager to review. I have the ability to reject. If you're familiar with the functionality of Active Pay, you'll know that you have those are typical options you have around actions on an invoice. Either submit it and complete it, approve it, or reject it, or place it on hold. All those options are available on the mobile side. So it's not complex. Our role with mobile is to enable the ability to be able to access the mobile application with very lean functionality. And the number one requested item for most of our customers are mobile approvals. And this is essentially how it would work. If I approve this invoice, which I'm not going to do, it would flow on through the workflow. So those are two of the great new capabilities and functionalities that are available in, accounts payable automation today. If you're looking at other systems and they don't have some of the advanced image management, then you should probably keep looking around, because those functions that I'm talking about are important and able to bring everything together. It doesn't do you any good to have an invoice management system that it doesn't allow you to keep all of your supporting documents together in one location, and it doesn't do you have any good to have a system that requires your users to log into different systems, without the ability to approve those through a mobile approval. So we're coming down to the end of the conversation with today. I'm going to touch on a couple other things in the system that we weren't going to get into today. The first one I'm going to hit is reporting, and basically because I had some trouble logging in to my mobile, we're a couple minutes over schedule here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in to my Power BI desktop here, which is an outside application offered by Microsoft. And as I said in the beginning, we built connections to Microsoft. We built connections to Microsoft Power BI for analytics, and we built connections to IBM Watson Analytics that's not quite released yet. This is the Power BI desktop that is able to communicate and bring your specific accounts payable data back. This is an example of what that looks like. These do have complete drill down capabilities. So for example, here is, I'm going to click on this one here. This brings up incoming invoices processed by Active Pay. And you'll see that there's 828,000 invoices for this particular grouping or client example that we're using. It shows you what your volume is per month. And if I click on any month in the Power BI, you'll see how it changes the display. It brings into focus down here, what is my invoice volume per day? But it also changes here in this graphic by type. So in this case, we look at what invoices came in by EDI, what invoices came in by scanning in this example, and you can drill down and do different areas and be able to see that view. There are dashboards that we're constructing right now that get into other functions such as invoice amount by queue. In the system, how many invoices go to general exception, how many have to be rescanned. You can drill down with these things, and all of these dashboards are all ad hoc and capable for, within the subscription that you've got, there's a tool that allows you to build these things and share them across users. And we can construct, you can either use the Mariah out of the box dashboards in the system, or you have the ability to build your own. I'm going to click on the travel and expense dashboard here, and bring up one of the reports. Here's a vendor spending analysis that we're using, for example. And if you take this type of chart here, I can actually come over here. Let's say that, so for example, this is using how much did I spend with Avis car rentals this year. And you'll see that when I click on that, over here on the right, it actually filters down and it provides me with a hyperlink. So if I come in here and I want to see, okay, what was this $1,400 item here for Avis, I can actually click on that and it will actually bring up the actual accounts payable record for that particular item as well, as long as any attachments and documents. It looks like we just have some demo data here with this one, but in this case here, I can come in and see exactly where this was in the process. You can see the actual image, but all of this is linked together, even though, and this is really taking the full value or the power of the cloud and hosted solutions and services to be able to bring all this together. So this is going to bring us down to addressing any final questions in the discussion today. Three areas that we hit on today, they're what's new in terms of accounts payable automation and AccuPay. Number one is fully hosted, fully managed service. Number two is advanced image management. Number three is mobile approvals and capabilities. And number four is the full reporting capabilities and the analytics capabilities that are available within the application today by leveraging very powerful analytics tools that we've now bundled with our system and enabled the data to be able to port it and report it from those systems. So we started this off, and the theme of the presentation today is to talk about Mariah, or the what's new in accounts payable. And so what we focused here on the first 10 minutes is what's new in accounts payable from a standpoint of the hosted offering, and offering that as a managed service that really removes overtaxing IT burdens from your company. We feel that we are offering a very differentiated solution today as opposed to buying an on-premise or even many other hosted offerings. First of all, we're offering a complete solution that includes accounts payable, T&E and processes. It's going to include vendor portal. It's going to include full OCR capabilities. And as you look at other organizations out there, and if you tried to implement accounts payable automation in the past, you may have had to talk to three different vendors, one for the data capture, another for the application, and maybe even another one for image storage and content management. We've brought all that together into a single managed service. We're very specialized. This is what Mariah does today. We're focused around document and process management for finance and HR systems. We pride ourselves on rapid deployment. We're going to jump over and talk about that in a minute, and some of you may say, how's that even possible? And I'm going to walk you through how that works. We have a lot of capabilities as far as extensibility, and we're very targeted, and all the things that we've already talked about. Maybe just as important as anything on the last two bullets, and to say that this is proven, the Mariah AccuPay application is a certified application by IBM, and they do sponsor co-marketing with us to provide the application education to the client base. And it's customer proven. This is an application that's been in the market for a few years, and what's new is that we ported it into a hosted managed service. And one of the objectives of obviously bringing this into a managed service is making it affordable. You'll find, when you go to looking at this, you're getting complete power of the IBM FileNet in the cloud. You're getting the complete power of the Mariah AccuPay applications at a very, very affordable price today in terms of being able to automate your organizations. Let's talk a little bit, moving on to new, about, what it would be like in terms of if you were to move forward with this today. And this is important to talk about what's new, because typically deploying an accounts payable automation system before we move these things into the cloud and packages together might literally take 6 months to a year. What we've got today is something we call Project Quick Start, which is designed to be able to move you from a rapid deployment to a 10 to 12-week process, utilizing best practice workflow templates, training, and end-user support. Now, when you look at that project on a full 12-week schedule, what would happen is that the first thing we would do is do a project kickoff. We would go through a design session, and that would include giving you a questionnaire up front that helps us define what your current processes are. We would go through a overlapping 4-week systems configuration that would be done right in the system. And again, I want to emphasize that in 99% of our cases, there's no custom code that needs to be managed. What we're doing in configuration is we're configuring the data, we're configuring screens, we're changing labels to match your corporate vernacular, and we're many times handling the back-end integration work through our connector tools behind the scenes. We're going to go through testing. Typically, we do a minimum of 2 weeks testing. Many of our customers, if you want to extend testing to 4, 6, 8 weeks, that's fine as well. And then we go through training and we go through a production deployment. We do have the capability to migrate existing data systems into the system. That's usually done in a parallel effort if you want to bring over archived data of your existing system into the process so that you have full access for reporting as well. Now, I mentioned in the design questionnaire, so one of the first things that will happen in terms of deployment is we'll do what's called the AP workshop. And the AP workshop will start by Mariah providing you with a detailed questionnaire which will allow you to go through and define your functional requirements in terms of how you're automating your invoices or how you want to automate your invoices. We'll talk about how your GL coding works. We'll talk about your approval levels. We're going to talk about the number of users in the system and what each role would have. This is a purely role-based system that leverages the Active Payer application layer and the content security around the FileNet repository to make sure that only the right people see the right data and information in the process. So all of this will be done by providing you with the questionnaire up front and then going through a 2 to 3 day on-site session where we're going to map that out and put together scenarios right in the system so your team can see exactly what they're going to get after those first 6, 8 weeks. I kind of jumped ahead a little bit. This slide talks about that AP workshop here, how we go through that process. Typically, it's 1 to 2 days for the business group, possibly another one for the IT group, depending on the complexity of the interfaces to your accounting system. We'll map out workflows. This is a simple screen workflow here for mapping out the process for I believe this is probably a non-PO type of invoice, how it works within capturing the invoice in the very beginning of the process, and then maybe just as important as what we call the happy path in the middle of your invoice comes in, it gets coded, it goes to approval, and then it gets paid, you have exceptions. And the exception paths down below will get mapped into the different levels. There's a lot of what automating business process automation is being able to manage 95% of your invoices down the standard path, and hopefully you don't have that many exception processes, but you will have typical ones. You will have images that get down into the process that somebody scanned it upside down because they put it on the fax machine upside down and it has to come back to rescanning. You'll have new vendors that are in the system, and there's a workflow that's built into the baseline for managing a new vendor in the process of where you put that on hold and perhaps wait for the new vendor setup to happen in another system before you can process that invoice through. There's multiple other options. You may have exception paths for tax audits. You may have paths for purchase orders don't match. Those things inside the Mariah systems, we have literally dozens of different workflows that are already predefined in the system, and often we encourage our customers to use those best practices templates. If not, we'll make the workflow change that meets your customer requirements. So this is going to bring us down to addressing any final questions in the discussion today. 3 areas that we hit on today, they're what's new in terms of accounts payable automation and Active Pay. Number 1 is fully hosted, fully managed service. Number 2 is advanced image management. Number 3 is mobile approvals and capabilities. And number 4 is the full reporting capabilities and the analytics capabilities that are available within the application today by leveraging very powerful analytics tools that we've now bundled with our system and enabled the data to be able to port it and report it from those systems. Yeah, I will address any questions. I'll bring it back over to the host to see if there's any questions that have come in at this point. and we'll go from there.
We have a question as to how easy or difficult it is to set users up on the mobile front.
Actually, there's no additional setup on the mobile front. Inside of the ActivePay application, if you are a user in ActivePay, there is a check mark that you select for mobile access or not. If you're a user in there, you simply select that check mark, and now that person will be able to download the application and sign into it. It will still require authentication. One of the things that we took very seriously in enabling mobile is make sure that we address all the security requirements. We don't store data on the mobile environment. When you view the image, it's viewing as a temporary image there that's deleted. If someone lost their mobile phone, short of them giving them their access to the system, there's nothing on the system that would allow a user to see anything mobilely. But enabling is just a matter of turning it on and them downloading the application. And I should say, too, that the application I demonstrated today is for mobile iOS. We are also releasing the Android version in late June of this year.
Thank you for that. And could you also repeat again what are the options on this, the reporting?
Well, the reporting capabilities, we don't have time today to go into the full capabilities, but there are two systems that we enabled. If you remembered, I got to this system I'm back in ActivePay now in the screen. Over here on the left, we have a link to Power BI, Watson Analytics, and ActivePay reporting. And essentially, the only thing that you need to be able to share reporting across your whole organization in Power BI is additional access for the users. Now, we are bundling both Power BI and Watson capabilities at a limited ability to every hosted customer today. But if you already have Power BI capabilities outside of the ActivePay application and you upgrade to version 6, then you're going to be able to get that data out. It's a whole other discussion to go through the tools, but all of these reports that I'm showing you, I'd love to go through another demo if you want to schedule it, showing you how easy it is to construct these dashboards and reports that can be shared across your organization.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, everybody, for attending this webinar, What's New in Accounts Payable Automation. This will be available on the website, and we'll also be making sure to email the links for anybody who'd like to see it again. Once again, thank you very much for attending this webinar by Mariah Systems.